So I've been wanting to make a
JPEG
JPEG Mafia
Mafia
video for quite
versus Armand Hammer. I don't even know who that
a
is.
while now. I just could not think
Who
of
the
what to
second
make it
nigga is.
on. Like, I love his music. He's one of my favorite artists. I just can't think of one specific thing I wanted to make the video on. I was thinking I could make the video on like his come up or the beef with Freddie Gibbs, but it's like, I'm not really feeling those. Plus, we don't even really know what the beef with Freddie Gibbs is even about. And then I just remember he had one of the most random beefs of all time with Arm & Hammer. What's insane about it is that it's one of the most avoidable rap beefs of all time, which goes ahead and spirals into one of the most devilish, like, singular disses I've ever heard. And it all started because JPEG Mafia was kind of being a dick. So let's just get into it. The beef really started in January 19th, 2018 when JPEG Mafia released his album Veteran. There's not a single shot thrown or bad blood between them at this point. It just has to do with the song My Thoughts and Neograph Dying. It's a pretty cool song, but it has a pretty familiar beat. And that's because Arm & Hammer used the same beat on a song called Barbarians on November 3rd, 2017. So Arm & Hammer used the same beat 2 months beforehand. Does that mean JPEG Mafia just stole it? Well, no, because JPEG Mafia actually produced that song. What it's looking like is that JPEG
What?
Mafia apparently sold the beat to Elucid, half of Arm & Hammer, and he still decided to use it for himself. And if you go to the song Barbarians Genius Annotated page, it says it's produced by JPEG Mafia, and it says it directly sampled JPEG Mafia's My Thoughts on Neograph Dying from the beat of the track. But it's kind of hard to sample something when you come out 2 months before it. This is where the original rumblings of the beef started, but it took another 2 years for it to actually kick off. And that was November 8th, 2019 when Elucid dropped a song called Oblivion Reflex. It's produced by JPEG Mafia, and notably you can't find it on Spotify for some reason. And then on January 7th, 2020, IDK dropped Hello Freestyle Part 4 with the same exact beat. Obviously, Elucid is pretty pissed because this is the second time this has happened to him. First time when he was part of Arm & Hammer, and second time just by himself. So apparently he questioned JPEG Mafia on why he reused the beat, and he just made him take down the song. It's kind of a dickhead move by JPEG Mafia, and that caused a falling out between the two. So in June of that year, Elucid decided to take the first shot on an Arm & Hammer song called Leopards. It's a little section in the middle of Elucid's verse that is shots directly at JPEG Mafia. He starts it off by saying, I should have listened when they told me you wasn't folk no more, sissing his white lawyers on your boy. Season of the Vic, season the sis, the real man, I think not. He's obviously calling out JPEG Mafia, sending a cease and desist, telling him to take down his song, and he's calling
That's
on the
crazy
white
work.
lawyers to help him out. He's also saying he's not a tough guy like he portrays to be. He kind of also does take a half step
JPEG Mafia isn't a tough guy. Nigga, news flash to nobody.
back midway through his verse by saying performative rebel rhetoric, but the beat's incredible. He's kind of calling out JPEG Mafia, saying like you're a bitch, but your beat's still great. And then the last line is my favorite of the whole verse. Veteran dishonorable vagina discharge comical. Of course he's talking about Peggy because he's a veteran, and he's calling him dishonorable, which ties back to Peggy getting honorably discharged from the Air Force. Elucid is saying Peggy got dishonorably discharged because nothing about him is honorable. I think he's also calling Peggy a pussy for the cease and desist, which is kind of fair. And that's all the bars that Elucid have for JPEG Mafia. I think he's also calling Peggy a pussy for the cease and desist, which is kind of fair. And that's all the bars that Elucid have for JPEG Mafia. So at this point, we're kind of just waiting for JPEG Mafia's response. And oh boy, did he have a lot of them. But we did have to wait a little more than a year until October 22nd, 2021 for JPEG Mafia to drop LP. He dissed Elucid and Billy Woods quite a bit on this album. I think there's 4 main diss songs in this album, so I'm gonna go ahead and start off with the most basic ones to like the most like insane ones at the end. So the first song with covers Nemo. I was reading a couple articles about it, and apparently Nemo mockingly mirrors Elucid's groove on the song Safe House to boast his rapping ability on an even playing field. The song sounds similar, but I don't know how much I agree with that. Although in his second verse he does say quite a few things that I do think are Elucid disses. He says, all my songs are diss, I might just ghostwrite a hit, they know it's money well spent. I don't really think he's talking about ghostwriting. I really think he's just talking about selling beats. They know that buying his beats is going to be a hit because like Elucid said, performative rebel rhetoric, but beats incredible. Peggy pretty much said, you can diss me all you want, but you still need me. He ends off the verse by saying, you gonna keep pushing your luck, if I aim for your head, you better hope you duck. He's pretty much saying that if he takes a shot at an artist, it's going to be a headshot, so you better hope they duck so it's not a career ender. Just a couple basic disses towards Elucid on that song. The next song, BMT, I think has like one line that's a diss, but it is an interesting diss. In the beginning of his verse, he says, fuck your music, fuck them chains, fuck your videos, fuck your face. Which I think is a pretty obvious Billy Woods diss. Every music video or a picture you see of Billy Woods, his face is blurred. So with the bar, fuck your videos, fuck your face, he's kind of saying fuck your music videos and fuck your face because like he's blurred, so it's a Billy Woods diss. It doesn't really mean much, it's kind of just like straight hate from Peggy. I also don't know what Billy Woods did to get himself in this beef. I don't think he said anything publicly about this beef or had any bars for JPEG Mafia. There's really 2 things it could be, which is either that he backed Elucid behind the scenes because obviously he did, and then JPEG Mafia got mad about that and started writing disses with Billy Woods as well. Or the reason that I believe it is, which is Elucid's diss coming on an Arm & Hammer song. Because you know Arm & Hammer is Billy Woods and Elucid. It's like Metro Boomin catching strays from Drake because Kendrick started a beef on a Metro song. But these first 2 disses and songs are kind of just like whatever, like nothing special. It does ramp up quite a bit on the next 2. Because on the song The Ghost of Ranking Dread, he goes completely in on Arm & Hammer. Pretty much the whole second half of the song is a diss. He starts it off by saying, can't do shit on your own, don't you need the assist? He's saying Elucid needs Billy Woods to be where he is right now. I sort of agree, but Elucid does have some really good music still. Like his album he dropped in 2024 was amazing. The literal next bar is Attack of the Clones when these rappers be spin, offbeat shit ain't gonna make you a living. This is a shot at both members of Arm & Hammer because they both rap offbeat. I mean, they both do it pretty well, but that's what it is. He's also calling rappers clones, which I don't know who that's referring to. He might be saying Arm & Hammer are clones, but I don't know of who, so I can't really comment on that. He then says Arm & Hammer is woke third eye rapping, which is a complaint a lot of people have about conscious rap. And then this next bar is the most complicated bar of the beef by far. Peggy says, Noi flows with pork for an image, whoa, call up the minister, something just ain't adding up. I'm gonna read the Genius excerpt because I would not be able to find this out myself. Peggy is referencing Arm & Hammer's 2021 album Haram, which uses a picture of a pair of severed pig heads as the cover. He points out Arm & Hammer's Noi flows, alluding to the Nation of Islam, an Islamic black nationalist movement in the United States. The group was perhaps most well known for its association with Muhammad Ali and Malcolm X during the 1960s. Peggy might be recognizing that Arm & Hammer's songs aim to promote the empowerment of black people. This is most apparent on songs like Black Sunlight where Billy Woods raps. Iridescent blackness is as performative a praxis. Game is the game, just gotta change tactics. Revolvers to automatics, back to revolvers, nothing is static. Metaphor or not, the verse has similar radical undertones as the message to grassroots. Speech by Malcolm X that points out the dissonance between violent racist attacks on blacks by white people during the civil rights movement and the pacifistic response of black people. Malcolm X delivered the speech while he was a figurehead of the Noi movement. Peggy ties it back by pointing out that traditional Muslims are forbidden from eating pork by dietary laws. This is alluded to by the album's title Haram, which translates to forbidden from Arabic. Peggy sarcastically claims these conflicting ideas are confusing, and that he might need to call on someone that has more religious knowledge to work through it. I had to explain quite a bit with that, but the next couple bars are simpler. Peggy said, but lions and leopards aren't meant to be jiggy, which is a reference to the song Elucid dissed Peggy on. He's kind of saying that he's a lion and Elucid's a leopard and that they do not mix, which is a roundabout way of saying that he's levels above Arm & Hammer. And the next bar is, rappers named after baking soda, but he never touched no fucking coke in his city. He's saying they're named after baking soda because Arm & Hammer bears a striking resemblance to baking soda manufacturer Arm & Hammer. However, the duo is allegedly named after the American billionaire Arm & Hammer. Although, Peggy is calling them disingenuous and lacking of true street experience, which to an extent is true because Billy Woods attended Howard University, a prestigious HBCU in Washington, D.C. Peggy follows this up by saying, heard your tape, glad I didn't get a mention. This is because Leopards is off Arm & Hammer's 2020 album, Shrines. JPEGMAFIA waited so long to respond that Arm & Hammer dropped their previously mentioned album, Haram, in 2021, and they didn't mention Peggy at all. I feel like that's more on him because he took so long to respond. And then once again, the best line of the song is the last one. I see you blur your face for the gram, I blur your face for forensics. Another obvious Billy Woods diss. Peggy is suggesting that after a confrontation with Billy Woods, a forensics team wouldn't be able to identify his face with all the damage that he would cause to it. Definitely his most brutal bar up to this point. But realistically, he's only had 2 Billy Woods diss so far, and they were the same thing about his face. And then we have the last song to go over, which is most definitely the craziest. It's much earlier in the album than this song, but it's called Rebound, and it's off the walls. Peggy starts off this in the 4th verse by saying, are you still up and coming, you old? When the song dropped, Elucid and Billy Woods are around 35 and 43. Nothing that really confirms the ages all too well, so it's like a roundabout get.
Him calling them old is kind of crazy, knowing that this nigga about to be 35 too. But, I mean, Peggy not really up and coming no more. That nigga kind of on. Like, he has a huge, like, cult fan base.
Yes, but it is the JID argument about how are you a rising star when you're old, all too well, so it's like a roundabout guess. But it is the JID argument about how are you a rising star when you're old. He then says, fuck your mama, brother, sister, and niece, and conveniently leaves out his dad. That's because in a later bar he says, count on money, your pop's in an ashtray. You can't hear it in the song because he blurs a lot of stuff, but he said it in the live performance. He's dissing Billy Woods for his dad being dead. Obviously the worst part of the beef by far, but it just gets worse and worse from here. He keeps going at it by saying, first your daddy got rolled in the suite, then you came to my show and got beat. First bar is saying how his dad died again, but in the second bar, I don't know what it's referring to. Obviously, it's saying someone went to a show and got beat up, but I don't know who. I don't think it was either member of Arm & Hammer, so it's not part of this beef. He also mentions how they can't say I'm beat again. Then I think he makes a domestic assault claim by saying, all that shit you do to your girl, I just wish you'd do it to me. I assume he's saying one of the members of Arm & Hammer beat their girl and how he wishes they'd fight him instead. I haven't seen anything to support these claims in the past 3 years, so I just think it's slander. Then he mentions Billy Woods' dead dad again by saying, he told me to stop dissing his kin, oops I did it again. Did you know that your daddy is dead? You know it hurts when you're missing your friend? Daddy is blurred in the Spotify release of the song, but you can hear it on the SoundCloud version. But this is like just straight friend. Daddy is blurred in the Spotify release of the song, but you can hear it on the SoundCloud version. But this is like just straight bonkers from Peggy. And realistically, no reason for him to go this hard at Billy Woods. He does start off the line by saying, he told me to stop dissing his kin, which makes me think Billy Woods told JPEGMAFIA to stop dissing people in his family. And then JPEGMAFIA said fucking and dissed his dead dad 3 times and said fuck the rest of your family. And then he reuses some of the bars from the Ghost of Ranking Dread, specifically specifically the baking soda bar and the I'm glad I didn't get a mention bar. He does follow the second bar though with saying, because you know how that would have ended. He's pretty much saying that if he got mentioned in the latest album, he would have ended their careers. I don't know how he could have went much harder than this song. I really doubt he could, but you know, Peggy likes to ramble a lot. Then he ends off the song with some more unhinged bars, but this time out of Lucid. And I think I've been playing with shit. You know, I'll bitch you in front of your kids. Know you a teacher. I plan to confront you. Show up in your class. I ain't packing no lunchable. You only hear teacher on the SoundCloud version, but Peggy is saying he's gonna pull up to the school Lucid works at and beat him up in front of his students. Which is even crazier because I don't think it was public that he was a teacher at this point, so he just exposed that. And I still
Oh
don't think it's
wow.
really public. It's only this line that really says it. It kind of proves that JPEG Mafia knows a lot more about them than most people do. So maybe them beating
Niggas
the
a
girl
teacher.
allegation does have a little bit of credence to it. I'm not really gonna entertain it because it's still off the walls though. Like Peggy's not mentally in the right place most of the time, and you can really tell with songs like this. Like it's a banger. It's one of my favorite JPEG Mafia songs, but he skits in for the last two verses. With songs like this. Like it's a banger. It's one of my favorite JPEG Mafia
That's
songs, but he
fine. That's your
skits in for the
freaking
last
soul
two
edit.
verses. And after this, there's been zero disses, and apparently they made up in 2022. JPEG Mafia even helped produce 3 songs of Arm Hammer's newest album, We Buy Diabetic Test Strips. And this is honestly an insane beat because I had no clue what was happening until after it ended. Like JPEG Mafia likes to take a lot of shots in the air at most of his songs, just talking about his haters. We don't know exactly what he's talking about, but apparently all these songs are about Arm Hammer. And I have no clue how they made up after all these disses. Like Elusive wasn't that bad, but Peggy was just tearing into them for some of the most insane stuff I've ever seen. I would have thought they'd never be on speaking terms again, but somehow they made music together even. It's probably for the best because I do love to see some of my favorite artists making music together still. And that's all I really have to say for the beef. It started and ended out of
Niggas face
nowhere.
reveal.
I think it would have been more interesting if a couple more shots were taken, but it probably did end off in the best way possible. So thank you guys for watching. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I'll go ahead and catch you guys in the next video.
W.